Filming.
I don't care if you're doing filming. I've asked you not to film this building.
Yeah, but it was a little building.
I don't care.
It was a little...
Okay, they're on their way to see you now, right?
What about my drone?
I don't care about your drone.
Yeah, but I've come
no permission.
Yeah, but I've come
to film this building.
I've come a long way on my bike.
I don't care.
I go round. I take like videos and drone footage, and I put them on the World Wide Web.
Yeah, but you've had no permission to come onto this site, and you were filming on this site without permission.
No, I only come on the site to knock on the door, but I think you came out, didn't you?
But you've been videoing on this site without permission.
No,
right?
I came through.
I watched you.
No, but I came through.
I watched you.
But there was no barrier down. If there was a barrier down, I wouldn't have come in.
A barrier tells you it's a secure private premises, yeah?
But it wasn't. It's not.
Opening scene. The auditor under fire not for fraud, but for filming on private property. He insists he merely approached the door to knock. There was no fence, lock, or warning sign barring his path. Under UK law, you only become a trespasser if you knowingly cross into private land without permission, and even then it's a civil matter unless violence or serious damage occurs. Here, no gate was secured and no guard intervened, so his act of reaching the entrance wasn't unlawful. Instead of admitting the site was left unsecured, the managers are trying to shift blame onto him, even though keeping the perimeter closed was their responsibility all along.
Not getting into it because the police, they just said they see you through the window and they're coming over to see you.
Yeah, but I'm only doing a little video.
I'm not interested, mate.
What's your name, sorry?
I didn't give my name.
What's your name?
I don't need to give you my name, do I?
Well, at the moment, we've been called. I don't know if you know anything about Concordia, but having had a chat to the manager here, it's quite a secure building, all right?
Yeah.
You're not allowed on there. That's come from him.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's politely asked you to move on and obviously stop recording because of the nature of the supplies and the goods within the site.
Police arrive but skip any legal check. Instead of weighing whether a law has been broken, the officer parrots the staff's demand and orders the auditor to stop filming. This lapse betrays proper policing. He's speaking for the business, not upholding rights. A diligent officer would first establish if any offense occurred. Shooting photos or video from public ground isn't a crime, and without specific legal restrictions, no company can dictate what you film in public.
Okay.
I know what the company is because I got it off the internet.
There we go. So in this situation, the best thing we can do is just ask you to move on. All right. Not record. Obviously from here, they're asking you not to do it. Right. At the moment, he's saying that in the building and the business itself, they do obviously supply quite high secure goods across the world on flights. And at the moment, it's just not appropriate. And obviously, that's where we are with it. Okay. Now, in terms of what we're going to do as police, is we're going to do the same. We're just going to ask you to politely move on, just to obviously prevent any breach of the peace. Just to move on, go on your push bike, and go and film a different place that is going to allow you to do.
This is outrageous. The auditor has every right to record here with both camera and drone, yet the officer demands he leave despite no law being broken. It looks like a classic case of police siding with business interests instead of defending public freedoms. Rather than impartially check if any offense occurred, the officer treats the auditor's mere presence as a hazard. This shows her goal is appeasement, not enforcing the law. She's granted the company exactly what it wants, removing a man peacefully exercising his rights.
Okay, and then it's just going to be end of sport. We will leave you to it. Okay, ultimately what we could potentially be facing is that if you're going to refuse to do that and allow for this business to move on with their day, we could be looking at other things then, couldn't we? Because what's happening here is this company now have had to send out managers and staff to obviously come and deal with yourself, and they're just kindly asking you, can you please stop filming?
But I'm doing photography in a public place. I'm allowed.
What they're saying is,
I'm allowed.
You by all means,
I'm allowed.
Go the other side of the road. Obviously.
That's what I said I was going to do. I said I'm going to be over there. Over there on that footpath.
You've asked to use their toilet. You're not allowed to do that.
No, I'm not going to.
You've asked to go in and have a tour. You're not allowed to do it. Okay. There are rules in life that you have to follow.
No, right? I said to him.
For you to ask where the toilet is, if I can use the toilet, can I come in and have a tour? It's a no.
The officer then escalates, ordering the auditor, who's standing on public pavement, to step across the road. There's no law that grants her this power, yet she insists, sounding condescending as she lectures about rules you have to follow, as if filming peacefully were a crime. It's obvious she's abandoned impartiality and is bending over backward to placate the business, making baseless demands instead of checking whether any legal breach occurred.
All right.
No, I know
We're
you said
not
no.
here-
That's
we're
no
not
problem.
Going to get into it.
I'm not going to. I'm not.
And stuff.
I just asked him. I said, look, any chance I can use your toilet? He said, you must be joking. I said, fine.
Yeah.
I said, as I'm here, you know, would you like to give me a guided tour? I've got high vis. He said no.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Right.
But I just want to go on a public footpath and do my video and a little bit of drone footage.
He's not going to. He's not going to allow for the drone.
He
footage to
doesn't
take
own the
place.
airspace, officer.
But
Yes,
the problem is that as the manager, he's being quite respectful and polite to you, isn't he?
and
He's
I
just
am.
saying, please sir, can you not do this, all right? Obviously, he knows a lot more than me and you about this company, all right?
Yeah,
And he's saying that in the building itself, it's obviously quite a high secure place where they provide goods and materials to put on flights to travel, right?
Next, the officer repeats the worker's claim that the drone isn't allowed to fly. But workers have no say over airspace unless the site sits within a designated no-fly zone under Civil Aviation Authority rules. The auditor quickly shuts down this bogus assertion by pointing out that the worker doesn't own the sky. Then the officer escalates by echoing that the building itself is a high-security facility. Yet if it truly were, there would have been locked gates, security guards, or clear no-entry warnings. The open barrier, lack of patrols, and missing no filming signs prove this site is far from a fortified zone. Instead of real defenses, the only security measure is dialing the police and inventing fresh rules on the spot.
I'm allowed to photograph in a public area.
I'm not saying you're not allowed to
I'm
photograph.
allowed.
Go over there then.
That's
all
what
right?
I said I'd do.
Make yourself sparse. Obviously, take photos and stuff.
Yeah.
But please don't go putting a drone up. We've got our headquarters there. That's our police headquarters. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No.
Right. That's our police headquarters
okay.
there for Gwent Police.
But I'm not doing Gwent Police.
So-
I'm doing...
But obviously, as you can see, there's only a matter of meters between these buildings. Okay. So Concordia,
yeah.
they are obviously quite a high secure building. We've got our premises there as Gwent Police.
But I'm allowed to
You can
do my
take
drone
photographs.
footage. I'm allowed to do my drone footage.
The officer then claims that because police headquarters sits next door, the drone can't take off. But proximity to a station doesn't create a no-fly zone. If flying were illegal, she'd cite the specific rule instead of begging him not to. Her demand feels more like a polite request than real enforcement. It's classic overreach, making up barriers to stop perfectly lawful activity. The auditor calmly reminds her he's well within his rights to fly, and her objections have no legal footing.
The CAA they have different zones in the UK. They have like red zones and
I'm not a
amber
drone
zones.
officer, but I can certainly check with a drone officer if that's where we're going to get to.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
I feel that that's a little bit unnecessary for now. All right, and I think that what the best option here is just for you to obviously move on as you've been asked by a couple of people now. All right, just move on, get on with your day. And
This
then,
is my day. I'm allowed. I'm not
well,
being...
like I said, just go across the way then, and obviously
Yeah, I was gonna go
on to a
across
different-
to the-
across the way there. There's many other buildings on industrial estates that you can use.
Yeah,
and that you can photograph.
I will do them, but I was here, and what you're telling me is that because he don't like it,
It's
I
not
can't
a case
film.
of him not liking it. He's
I
the
can't-
manager, isn't he?
yeah.
And what he's saying is that because of the nature of the materials and the goods that are inside of this building,
But it's not unlawful to do
it's
photography.
not. It's
on
just
a public
it's,
place.
It's not. It's again with that company. The company are asking you not.
Next, the officer insists that the building's sensitive contents justify a filming ban. But the auditor never left public ground. There's no expectation of privacy out in the open. If those items truly demand secrecy, it's on the company to secure them, not on passers-by to avert their gaze. As she fumbles for a rationale, her words trip and stall, revealing she's inventing rules to satisfy her employers. This isn't about enforcing the law. It's about muffling someone who's simply exercising his rights.
Let's not be awkward.
No.
Let's not make things difficult because otherwise they're going to end up difficult. Okay.
Why?
But because of obviously the sort of attitude that you're giving.
I'm not. All I'm doing is exercising my rights to film in a public
But
area.
like I've just said, the company
Yeah.
are saying to you, you're not allowed to do it. Please don't do it because our business has things in there that we don't want publicised across the internet and stuff.
At this point, the officer's veneer shatters as she delivers a thinly veiled threat. Let's not make this difficult or it'll get difficult. When the auditor calmly asks why, she blames his attitude. But what attitude? He's been polite, composed, and fully within his rights, merely standing firm against her unlawful demands. He hasn't been aggressive, obstructive, or criminal, only unyielding. Her bias is laid bare. Instead of affirming that public filming is legal, she's escalating tensions and punishing a man for exercising his rights.
The thing
Do you
is,
understand what I'm
I
saying?
understand what you're saying, but I'm also exercising my rights, okay, lawful rights, as a citizen in England and Wales. I'm allowed to take photography in a public place unless...
Photography is different to drone, though.
No, that's my first point. My second point is I'm allowed to put a drone up over any place unless it's in a flight restriction zone. And I've got a CAA app that tells me I'm allowed. And you're telling me I'm not. Now that's not lawful.
This showdown lays bare the huge divide. The auditor leans on hard facts and legal guidance, while the officer resorts to hollow claims just to intimidate him. She won't admit she can't bar drone flights in free airspace, yet she keeps insisting without a shred of legal backing. In the UK, drone pilots may fly anywhere outside designated no-fly zones, as long as they follow Civil Aviation Authority rules. The CAA's official app even offers live airspace updates. If it flags the sky is open, her objections collapse. By telling him he can't launch his drone despite real-time data, proving he can, she's trading law for her own opinion.
If you stop me, if you prevent me from doing that...
You're completely confusing what I've said. What I've said to you is that business are asking you not to. All right, they don't want you doing it. So can you not just respect that and be, respectful towards everybody involved here, and just please just take your photographs, but they just don't want to drone up, okay?
But I am being respectful. I mean, I'm not getting into an argument or any conflict with you guys, but I am allowed to put a drone up, and you're saying, well, be respectful to them and don't put one up. But I'm allowed, and it's my right. It's my right to put a drone up in a public area.
Now, the officer has abandoned any pretense of enforcing the law. She's policing on a hunch that the auditor is disrespectful simply for exercising a right that makes the company uneasy. This approach is dangerous because it suggests laws only matter when they don't upset someone. An impartial officer would inform the business of public recording rights instead of strong-arming the auditor to back down. By framing his refusal to comply as misconduct, she makes clear that he's broken no law, only resisted arbitrary demands.
It is. If you tell me... If you tell me if you're going to arrest me if I do it, then what I'll do, I won't do it, but I'll go to my lawyer because I'm allowed and I know my rights, and the rights are that you're allowed. The law says that you're allowed to take photography, including drone footage, in a public place.
Okay, what's your surname, please?
What?
What's your surname, please?
I'm not giving my name.
You're going to refuse to give details now, are you?
Well, unless you threaten me with some sort of arrest.
I'm a police officer, sir. Yeah. I don't threaten anyone.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't threaten.
So you're not going to threaten me with arrest if I don't give
certainly
you...
not a threaten.
Okay.
I can use laws and powers, but it's certainly not a threat.
But I've not done nothing wrong. I've got
Ultimately, what happened here is that the police have been called. Right? And I'm now having to deal with you as a person. Therefore, I'm asking for your name and date of birth.
Here, the officer demands the auditor's personal details despite having no legal power to do so. Under UK law, an officer can only insist on a name when someone is lawfully detained on suspicion of crime, Pace 1984, issued a fixed penalty notice, or reasonably suspected of antisocial behavior. Police Reform Act 2002, Section 50. None of these apply. The auditor committed no offense, faced no penalty, and behaved courteously. By pressing for his information without citing any statute, the officer resorts to intimidation rather than lawful authority. A proper request would reference the exact legislation instead of vague threats aimed at coercion.
Because you've been involved in a call that I'm actually dealing with.
Yeah, but I don't have to give it. What? I mean, I don't understand why.
So then, if you're not going to give details, then I would strongly advise for you to just move on. Because at the moment, you've got 3 units here that are obviously dealing with you. I don't know who you are.
Yeah, I know,
right?
but
I
I'm
need
just
to know who you are.
No, I'm a member of the public.
Yes, I
and
appreciate
I'm doing,
that.
And I'm doing a lawful act. I'm doing photography and
So
droning.
why are you not, at the moment, you
Yeah.
could be missing,
Yeah.
you could even be wanted,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, as a police officer,
Yeah.
we have the right to take you to custody,
Yeah.
to identify who you are,
Yeah.
if you do refuse to give details.
Here, the officer demanded the auditor's personal details despite having no legal power to do so. Under UK law, an officer can only insist on a name when someone is lawfully detained on suspicion of crime, Pace 1984, issued a fixed penalty notice, or reasonably suspected of antisocial behavior. Police Reform Act 2002, Section 50. None of these apply. The auditor committed no offense, faced no penalty, and behaved courteously by pressing for his information without citing any statute. The officer resorts to intimidation rather than lawful authority. A proper request would reference the exact legislation instead of vague threats aimed at coercion.
You've been
but-
involved in a call, all right?
No, but
You've been involved in something that the police
Yeah.
have been called for. So as,
No, but
as a
you don't-
police officer, I'm
Yeah.
requesting your name and your date of birth.
Yeah, but under what section? I don't understand. Under what section are you asking for my name and date of birth? Because I'm legally, and I don't want to go into civil law, into unlawful arrest and unlawful detention here. But if we go down that path, you know, we don't want to. I don't want to go unlawful detention, unlawful arrest, unlawful giving of my details, because that all goes.
Not an unlawful giving of details
No.
by any stretch.
Okay, well, if you felt that I've committed a crime, then you know, or there's a section under
I
PACE,
just feel-
and I know PACE very.
The auditor, sensing something's amiss, firmly asked the officer to name the law behind her demand for his details. Her response unravels. Had any statute empowered her request, she would have cited it immediately, but she can't, because no such law exists here. This exposes her reliance on intimidation rather than legitimate authority. It also underscores the power of simply asking an officer to specify the legal basis for her actions. One pointed question is all it takes to dismantle a false claim and hold authority to account.
If you want to try and determine my name and address, I'd like to know.
I think you're just
under
being
what.
extremely difficult and
Yeah.
challenging, and
Okay.
probably quite awkward at the moment.
I'm not. I'm doing what I'm exercising my
Right?
rights.
It's just a little bit awkward
Yeah.
when a person is obviously not just cooperating, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. I'm
but
just
I
trying to
don't
do
need-
my job.
I know
okay?
you are, but
and
I.
we've been called
But
because
it's-
you're obviously causing some
I'm
obviously
not.
some.
I was going over there. You
But
just
you're
said.
not, sir. I found you just here on the
but
pavement. Okay.
in a public.
Here, the officer flexes control where none is warranted, treating a lawful stand as suspicious. Public spaces are open to everyone, and unless someone is blocking a path or causing a disturbance, there's no legal reason to order them off. Yet she zeroes in on the auditor's position, ignoring that he's well within his rights to placate the business. A police officer's duty is to apply the law impartially, not to enforce a private company's preferences. By focusing on where he stands instead of whether any offense occurred, she reveals just how misdirected her actions are.
You're up against the barrier.
Well, I'll happily go over there or over there
Go
and
on
do
then.
my drone.
Go over there then. When you're refusing to give something as simple as a name
Yeah.
to a police officer,
Yeah.
obviously it comes across as quite awkward, and that's probably my personal opinion of it. Okay,
Yeah.
and it's just sometimes it can make it a lot more difficult than it needs to be. In there, they do high security goods,
yeah, I
and
was
that's
just-
why they're
yeah.
saying as a business, please
Yeah.
don't do it.
But
Okay, but as a
I know.
police officer,
Yeah.
obviously you don't want to, go down.
Cause any-
We
no.
don't want to be causing any further issues for you. Okay, so just please respect what's been said. All right.
Thanks, officer.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Closing scene. The auditor finally steps across the road. Not because the law forced him to, but because the officer's relentless, baseless orders left him no choice. From start to finish, this was a dismal display of policing that put a private company's comfort above the rule of law. She began by overstating her power to demand ID, dangling empty threats of custody without ever naming a statute to justify them. Instead of citing legislation, she leaned on vague warnings and emotional appeals, painting the auditor as a problem when he committed no offense. Her insistence that he vacate public land and that he ground his drone, despite having no authority over airspace, exposed a deeper flaw. She was enforcing compliance, not the law. Even when challenged, she refused to admit error, pressing on with misinformation until he yielded. A simple explanation of public photography rights would have defused this instantly, yet she transformed a non-issue into a needless confrontation, wasting time, resources, and public trust in fair policing. In the end, the auditor's steady stand laid bare her failings. That's it for today's breakdown. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support keeps independent coverage alive. Don't forget to check out Pure Audit's channel in the description. Thanks for watching Rate the Audit, and I'll see you next time.